The 2024 US presidential election is scheduled for November 5th. With nearly 8 months remaining until the election day, speculation regarding potential outcomes is widespread. In this video, we'll delve into the latest polls and offer a preliminary prediction of the results. Stay tuned! The final candidates for each party have yet to be officially determined, but it seems highly unlikely that names other than Donald Trump's for the Republicans and Joe Biden's for the Democrats will appear on the ballot. First, let's examine the national polls. While the popular vote across the nation is not a decisive factor in the unique structure of the US presidential election, as the Electoral College ultimately determines the president, nationwide polls still offer valuable insights and allow us to track trends. Since mid-September 2023, Trump has surpassed Biden in polls. While at certain points he led Biden by 5%, the current average of polls show Trump leading by 2%. Consequently, it can be observed that Biden has managed to narrow the gap, and in some more credible polls, he even garners more support or is at least on par with Trump. However, even with a 2 or 3% lead in the popular vote during the election, it may not be sufficient for Biden to secure his re-election. This is because the popular margins in heavily populated states that Democrats typically win, such as California and New York, are much larger than the margins in heavily populated states that Republicans typically win, like Texas and Florida. Take into account the pro-Democrat tendency of polls, Biden would likely need a lead margin of about 5% to feel confident of victory. Therefore, based on these nationwide polls, Trump emerges as the main contender for the presidency. Now let's assess the situation regarding electoral votes based on current polls. We'll begin with the safe states for either party. By safe, we refer to states where polls show a margin of more than 15%, and where the state consistently votes for a particular party in recent presidential elections. For Democrats, these safe states predominantly lie in the coasts. On the West Coast, Democrats secure electoral votes from Washington, Oregon, and California. Traveling to the East Coast, Democrats feel secure with Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. Additionally, Hawaii is also considered a safe blue state. Turning to the safe states for the Republicans include Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, North and South Dakotas, Nebraska at the state level, Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, and West Virginia. Although recent polls are unavailable for the 1st and 3rd congressional districts of Nebraska, based on voting patterns, they are also considered safe Republican territory. Utah is another state that, based on previous elections, should be considered safe for Republicans, although recent polls show a difference of about 10% between Trump and Biden. Based on this assessment, Democrats have secured 126 safe electoral votes, compared to 113 safe votes for Republicans. In addition to the safe electoral votes, there are states where, based on previous voting patterns and current polls, we can confidently predict the winner with a significant degree of certainty for either party. These electoral votes, often referred to as likely Democrat or Republican, include the following. Democrats can count on winning the 1st congressional district of Maine and Connecticut. There are also 2 states that were previously considered safe blue, but recent polls show Democrats leading by a margin of less than 15%. These states are New York and Illinois. The decline in support could be attributed to progressive Democratic voters who are dissatisfied with Biden, particularly due to his handling of foreign policies, especially concerning the ongoing conflict between Israel and Gaza. Conversely, likely red states include South Carolina and Ohio. While Ohio was once a battleground, recent elections and polls have shifted it to likely Republican, at least in presidential elections. Additionally, we should consider Maine's 2nd congressional district. With these likely electoral votes added, Democrats would have a total of 181 and Republicans would have 140 votes. There are additional states where polls consistently show a lead by one party, but the margin falls between 5 and 10%. We categorize these states as leaning Democrat or Republican. Leaning Democrat states include Colorado, New Mexico, the 2nd Congressional District of Nebraska, Virginia, and New Hampshire. Maine at the state level can also be included in this category. Although a recent poll showed Biden trailing behind Trump in Maine, the state's voting pattern and previous polls provide confidence to keep it as a leaning Democrat, at least at this stage. For the Republicans, we have Alaska, Iowa, and North Carolina. Florida is another state leaning Republican that was once a swing state but has consistently voted in favor of Republicans since 2016. Another state leaning Republican in the 2024 election is Texas. While Texas has historically been a red state, demographic shifts in recent years and decades may eventually lead it to flipping to Democrats, but it appears that 2024 is not the year for this change. Adding these leaning electoral votes to the previous counts would give Republicans a lead. They would have 235 electoral votes against the Democrats' 216. The remaining 87 votes will be decisive on November 5th and will determine the outcome of the presidential election. Out of 7 toss-up states, Biden is currently leading only in Minnesota and Pennsylvania by margins of 3 and 0.8% respectively. While the gap in Minnesota remains relatively stable, Trump has managed to narrow it in Pennsylvania and even lead in some polls. In other 5 toss-up states, recent polls indicate that Trump is currently in the lead. In Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, the current gap between candidates is about 5 to 6%. In Wisconsin, Trump leads with a 1% margin, and in Michigan, he holds a 3.5% lead. Biden has performed better than before in Georgia, Michigan, and Nevada, managing to reduce Trump's lead, while the trend is the opposite in Wisconsin and Arizona. It's noteworthy that in all these 7 states, the number of undecided voters is quite high, at more than 10%, which is greater than the gap between Biden and Trump in each of them. In summary, if the election were held today and the polls proved accurate, Trump could secure the presidency with 293 electoral votes against Biden's 245. However, it appears unlikely that this situation will remain unchanged in the coming 8 months. Therefore, subscribe to our channel and we will keep you updated on the latest polls and predictions. This was a rough prediction of the 2024 US presidential election made 8 months before the event. If you found this content informative, please like it and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear from you, so feel free to share your thoughts, comments, and ideas for future topics in the comment section. Thank you for joining, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.